So now is the time to activate what you've learned. Are you ready? I'm ready. And I got a special guest for you that's going to help you activate this. So let's go. I'm ready. Get your pencils, get your paper, sit back, relax, because we're going somewhere. And you're going to want to go with us. Let's go.
Let's talk about it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Wanda. Here we talk about relationships. We talk about hair care, health, family, spiritual things. We have conversations here. And I'm so glad that you have joined us today. My name is Wanda L. Floyd, and I am the owner of Inspirational Cuts and Designs Hair Care Center. And this is a spinoff of Have a Seat in My Chair, Beauty Industry Talks with Wanda. And today, I know you are ready. We've been talking about apply pressure, and we have a very special guest with me today that's going to help us conclude this series with a bang. None other than Apostle V.W. Jones. He's here with us, and I am so grateful that he is here. But look, before we get started, if you're on YouTube, I'm going to ask that you make sure that you have subscribed, you have liked this program, and you have shared. And if you're on Facebook, please make sure you are following me. You have liked or loved. I really prefer that you love the program and you share it with someone, because look, we have been just kind of operating. We've just been kind of stagnant, or we've just been doing things mediocre. But I want you to know that it's time to apply pressure. And today we're going to conclude this thing. But listen, when we finish, you're going to have some fire up under you. Apostle Jones, please, I'm so grateful that you're here. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Shalom. Good day. I am V.W. Jones Sr., simple man, servant, desiring to share as much information as I can and learn what it means that when pressure can literally burst pipes, how do you apply the appropriate type of pressure? So on this programming today, let's talk about it. With the theme song, I'm with it. Let's get at it. It's our hoodie day. I like it.
Right. We comfortable. We chilling. It's hoodie day. My Niners are playing. I'm going to be all right, though. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right.
My Cowboys won on Turkey Day, so I'm real good right now.
Yeah, I know y'all are. And yeah, I'm going to be all right. So, Apostle, I'm so grateful you're here. We have had many discussions on apply pressure. We started off with apply the pressure of the word, then applying the pressure of patience, and then the what ifs. What do you do when the what ifs come about? The what ifs push you into purpose, so you need to apply pressure. And then finally, last week, we talked about applying the pressure of authenticity. And today, you're going to help us seal this. We're going to conclude applying pressure. So what does applying pressure look like to you?
Pressure is a varied element that many don't use all of its definitions. As I alluded to previously, pressure in piping or in evac systems can literally burst pipes and cause problems and cause leakage. But then there is the pressure such as for a masseuse, which I was privy to have as therapy for my life for many, many, many years, every month, and that pressure to bones and pressure to muscle, pressure to tendons, pressure to vascular structure and system can actually release, not bust, but release pressure as well. So when we look at them, you have to see one as a natural example, which always leads to destruction, and then another definition to a spiritual example, an analogy that actually releases the flow of favor and, more importantly, confidence to walk out a life in success. So that's what I would lead in with that question.
So let's look at the aspect of the negative side of applying pressure. Let's talk about that. If we could look at that naturally and then spiritually to help us see how applying pressure negatively could affect us.
Well, whenever you look at the negative side of pressure, it's always the first place our natural instincts go to, right? It's always the negative first, because negative is always the shock and the drama, and it adds to, unfortunately, people gather the drama. People gather the negativity. And so we first go with the define of the negative. But when you really understand it for the purpose for why it was designed, the very first reason for pressure, watch this, was when Yahweh made man. He reached down into the dust of the earth and he applied pressure to some dirt with a little bit of hydration. And he came up with the sinew and the beauty of the actual protoplasm that is you and I. And therefore, we now have what we have as the human body. So pressure created something. And if you really think about it, pressure, along with the proper amount of heat and also some dirt, can create diamonds and quartz and precious stone and things of value. If you really pay attention to it, even in the sea, an oyster, when he gathers all the toxins that he is supposed to have, and that shell is shut right, it's pressure applied, of course, with a few other elements, but pressure is necessary for you and I to experience success. If you don't have pressure, then you'll fold under pressure. Let me give another analogy of that before we go into a real biblical text about this. If you are in a battle or you're in a competition and you are maybe in track, or maybe you're in boxing, or maybe you're in martial arts, or maybe football or football, which is soccer, and or baseball, until you get the pressure mentally of the game and the strategies in live times, if you can't make it through the pressure of making decisions, you will not be the victor. That's why sparring is so important. And that's why, in a lot of ways, when you understand what's coming at you and why it's coming at you, the pressure of that mentality doesn't overtake you and cause you to falter. So we do sparring. So this is weird because the way I learned how not to get knocked out was to get knocked out on purpose in a safe environment. So the way to make it through, as the military would do for you, an act of war and maybe some chemical warfare, is, as the military does much of its people in boot camp and training, they cause you to go under a controlled gas attack. That's adding pressure to your psyche about a situation you could encounter when the chips are on the table. So unless you've been under that pressure, in practice, and the real pressure comes of that same nature, you won't make it through to the other side. There again is where there's a balance between victory and being conquered. So pressure practiced is important. And I like what Paul does when he talks about the pressure that Messiah was under, and he himself also endured. So we oftentimes say that if we love him and we're going to be like him, I will paraphrase. He says, we must suffer like he suffered, so that when the time of our actual purpose coming into a manifested state should happen in live time for us, we know what it feels like and we don't panic, because it's our first time experiencing that pressure. So if I'm in a fight, I've learned how to protect myself, and I know the potential of getting hit the wrong way. So I practice being hit the wrong way, so that when it matters, if I get hit the wrong way, I can still think myself through it. And a lot of people don't want to get hit But quite frankly, you got to get knocked out. Mama said knock you out. You got to get knocked out in order for you not to get knocked out when it matters most. And if you should be discombobulated because of that pressure applied and onslaught coming at you and onslaught hitting you, you're able to still think through it. But if you've never been in a fight, and you talk tough because you've been in the weight room. You talk tough because you jump in rope. You talk tough because you on your Peloton that still got clothes on it and whatnot. And every now and then you get on and think you got your cardio going. And as soon as you get into competition, your body starts cramping. As soon as you get into competition, you start hyperventilating. As soon as you get into competition, you start feeling dizzy. If you haven't practiced that type of pressure, when the actual competition for an award comes, you will falter because you don't know what's going to come next. But when you practice the pressure, when you come through 6 days of working, 6 days shall a man work. But on the seventh day, that's when a man rests. Now I can think I overexerted myself. I overheated. I over-responded. I overreacted. I underreacted. I didn't take that well. Now you can contemplate, oh, so next time I get something like that that hits me, that applies that type of pressure, I can think through live time and not respond in the negative or in the failure capacity of this scenario. I can think other ways out. See, a lot of times you got to be able to, as they say, stick and roll, or if you get hit, cover up and give yourself time to think, get your semblance of order back. So those are the things that initially I would say right now, and I'm hoping I'm not taking you off of this because I want to close this subject of applying pressure. You got to practice your walk in God every day. And when you're out here in these streets, not the streets of gold, in order to get to the streets of gold, you got to work down here in these streets of asphalt and concrete. These streets that have just been paved over and pushed down. And until you've practiced your faith every day, you don't know the pressure that comes with that commitment. And therefore, the enemy plays you. So if you haven't practiced your kingdom walk, when it really matters and you are about to be due for elevation and the enemy starts to literally recon you and start sending all these ambushments against you, you're not prepared for whatever can come. So you have to put yourself in pressure situations so that when it matters most, you can think through them. And that's what Messiah did. He gave us a demonstration of how, in fact, when your family turns their back on you, how, in fact, when your spouse just tells you they don't love you no more, how, in fact, to deal with the loss of a loved one that was so dear to you, basically hand to mouth feeding you, and now you don't even have them in your life. You have to understand that there are certain things that are going to happen. You got to practice. Can I go off the beaten path with this, Minister Wanda? Would you mind if I just, because I start flowing like this, you know how that goes. So I want people to understand that even in grieving and the mourning process, people don't realize that I say people don't realize it, and then I shifted to me practicing it. So let me rephrase. People don't realize the need to practice mourning because I don't want to lose it when I lose my mother or my father or my brother or my sister or even my sons or my daughter. So if any of them should predecease me, I practice their loss while they're alive. So there are days when I'm literally saying to myself, God, I want to thank you for my blessings. Today, I made a post on Facebook and some of my family members were in that photo. And what you might see is, oh, a cute little family picture. To me, I was mourning what would happen if I lost these particular people in this photo. And when I actually put myself in that position to consider what my life would be like without them, I was applying pressure, controlled pressure to myself because they're still alive. There's nothing to panic about. But what happens in my mind when it hit me? Wow, what if this person left me? What if Yahweh took them home? How would I respond? And I may, at that moment, cry. I may take a moment to really reminisce and run down memory lane with them and think about what it would be like without them. And guess what it makes me do? Once I've practiced mourning them with a slight hint of grieving them, though they are yet alive, it will cause me to contact them and let them know while they are alive and I am alive. Baby, sir, bro, sis, here's your flowers. I just want you to know, watch this, watch this. I thought about you today. Now, I ain't got to tell them that I thought about them dying because they be all weirded out. Apostle, man, you saw me dying. What you see prophetically? And then I got to kill all that and start a whole preaching lesson. I ain't got time. But if I tell you I'm thinking about you today, you don't know I'm practicing the pressure of what it would mean for me to lose you. So that when the day Yahweh does call you, should I happen to be still here, I won't lose my mind under that pressure. See, many people don't believe you got to practice pressure. I need all of y'all to just type it in. Apply pressure in a managed environment. And so we just think, well, I don't ever want to feel that. I don't ever. No, you need to feel that. I'm so tired of doing. Can I stay on this analogy for a second, Minister Wanda? Okay, so because many people, I do a lot of funerals. Y'all know that, right? I've done funerals in COVID by phone, by video, by pre-set, pre-recorded messages and the whole 9 yards. But what I get tired of is seeing people, Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Cuban, I say Latino, Russian, trying to jump in caskets of the loved ones who have gone on because they didn't practice the pressure of losing them and all that came with that. There's a myriad of emotions that come with that. And if you haven't practiced being in that situation and you haven't applied that pressure before, when that pressure hits you as life can only do, and that burden weighs down on you, you can lose your mind. At least feel like you have. And now you're trying to dive in caskets, or maybe you find some false prophecy of trying to be like Elijah and land on somebody in a casket and trying to put your mouth and nose on their mouth and nose and your feet on their feet, trying to raise them from the dead. Crazy things. Are you punching walls? Are you driving off cliffs because you had not had an experience under some form of that pressure, so that when the time came for you to conquer and receive the blessing of even a transition of a loved one into your life, you misconceived the pressure applied. Now, I know I talk a lot, and I know I should be probably quiet and let you host your programming, but many people don't really think about it until it's too late. And then they go into depression. They go into fits of rage and anger. Some have PTSDs triggered. So if you don't practice the good and the bad, especially when you're doing good, never forget to practice. What if I didn't win? What if things were not as good as they are now? No, you're not ruminating. You're not reminiscing for pain and drama. You're trying to make sure that you are always going to be balanced, because we forget to realize that Yahweh says it's going to rain on the good, the just, as well as the unjust. There is going to be sunshine in your life, and there is going to be rain. Are you ready for the rain? So if I'm always happy about the sunshine, hallelujah. Ooh, all I do is win, 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 win. I'm unstoppable. And you're doing all of that, right? But when the time comes that something does stop you, are you prepared and able to deal with something stopping you and literally incapacitating you? Will it stop you forever, or will you be able to process through it? Because you know what? I've been here before. I've been here before. I'm sorry, I'm just on a little musical tear right now. But do you understand what I'm talking about? Until you've experienced those things and you've learned how to manage those things. That's what life is all about, the management. But guess what? I can't cook in the kitchen if I can't take a little grease cracking on me. You ever had somebody get in the kitchen and you talking about, okay, you want some fried chicken, or you want some, what else do we fry? You want some fried turkey bacon, or you want some fried, sauteed, woked out vegetables. Well, there's going to be grease sparkles from that pan, and that grease can get on you, and sometimes it can burn the heck out of you. You can forget and lay your hand on pretty much an open flame. But if you don't practice cooking, you ain't gonna be a good cook. And in cooking, you're gonna burn something like yourself at some point, somewhere. And it your hands. It could be on your feet because you was in there with some furry sandals on, or some, like me, some house shoes, and grease popped over and burnt a hole through. And I thought I was protected. And next thing I know, I got this hole in my foot from some grease. And so you have to practice in order to succeed at anything. The thing that you're pursuing, you must see it in both its debilitating state and effect, as well as its victorious state and effect, because you're never going to get to victory unless you've considered the negative and the pressure that comes with getting to the top, the pressure that comes with crossing the line. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna shut my mouth right now.
Good. That's good. And I like with you talking to us about the grief and how to deal with losing someone and how that should be properly applied, because we actually see that play out biblically, but we haven't necessarily practiced it because we haven't been taught that. We see that with Esau and Jacob. We see it with Jacob when he gets ready to pass. There was a grieving and a mourning period, but we skip all over that. And had we taken that and applied it biblically to our lives, we would have handled losing someone a lot better, because we would have practiced the pressure of not having that person in my life, what that's going to be like. And then, like you said, we won't see the people trying to get in the caskets and we got to call 911 because they passed out and all of that. So what I'm hearing you say is that applying pressure is necessary. It's necessary for our lives.
You can't have the things that make you rich or wealthy. You can't have diamonds. You can't have pearls. You can't have emeralds. You can't have crystals. You can't have you can't have anything worth value. You can't have gold. You don't have silver. Shoot, you don't even really have oil unless pressure to some earthen form of dirt is applied.
And we can even use the one that we love so much, that olive oil. You're not getting that olive oil.
You get the olives.
You get the olives.
But you're not getting that oil unless you apply pressure.
And look how, go ahead.
No, it's your program.
Just the amount of pressure that has to be applied to get oil out of an olive in itself should speak volumes to us.
Yeah, as well as flour. You can't get flour unless you put it in a crucible, put that grain, that kernel in the crucible, and apply what? Pressure. You got to break that thing down. It was interesting that Messiah was talking about Peter. He said, Peter. Now I'm going to paraphrase because we don't have time to get into a whole Bible study with you on your program. And I don't want people thinking, because you talk about hair, you talk about health, mental health, and healthy health and all that stuff. So me coming on your program with my Bible might scare some folk off. But let me just put it out here.
That's all we talk.
Let me just put it out here this way. All right. So when we talk about pressure, Messiah said to Peter, he says, Peter, watch this. Woo, this gets me excited thinking about it. He says, Peter, he says, Kepha, listen, Simon, Satan has a desire to have you in order to sift you like wheat. Meaning to basically make baby powder out of you, right? And why is that important? Y'all get this. He says, Simon, Satan has desired to have you that he might sift you like wheat. But don't worry, son, I've prayed for you that your faith doesn't fail you. Did not say stop the pressure. It says, so that when Simon comes to crush you, your faith will not let you faint in the crushing. You gonna get crushed. You gonna get pressure. Stop acting like God gonna keep you out of the fray. No, he's gonna help you through the way. That's the whole purpose of making sure you practice and allow, when it comes, the sparring bouts of pressure to come. So when the contest that really gets you the wealth, that really gets you the riches, that really gets you the influence, that really gets you the wisdom, that really gets you the posture and position in life, you're ready for. You're not new to getting hit and taking a hit and getting up. It's like that old Timex commercial. It takes a licking and it keeps on ticking. So Simon, Satan has a desire, and bro, he gonna get at you. Sis, he gonna get at you. He gonna find a button to push to make you snap and holler, make you scream, make you cry, make you want to lose your mind, make you want to go, as we said in the 80s and 90s, postal, make you want to go off. But I pray that the word I've left you while you're being applied pressure to, while you are being crushed in the midst of that scenario, will keep you from losing your mind and hold you where you need to be.
That's good. That's good.
You think it's good? So you got to understand, you are going to get crushed, and you got to be prepared to have pressure comes. I've had a rough week, myself. Thinking about a lot of things and coming out of Sabbath, and realizing some things about stuff I thought. And I'm like, I didn't expect that pressure. And then I got to remember, you know what? You started thinking you were immune from attacks. You thought you were immune from emotional disconnects. You thought you were immune from not losing your cool. You thought you were immune from not acting outside of your character. And when those things of pressure hit you, when you have this false sense of security that you've made it or you've arrived, you got to keep practicing in your supposed success, the reality and the potential that you might not win, as it were, every battle as easily or as quickly as you did this one. So keep applying pressure. You know how they say in the church, y'all know I don't like church people, right? But in the church, they say, every round goes higher and higher. The next level is a new devil, right? Y'all act like the devil's greater at each level. Okay, well, if the next level that you go to after you got success in this level is going to be a greater round, don't you think you still need to practice pressure? You still need to practice pressure. Put yourself in the situation. No, I don't mean go out and sin. I'm just saying be looking to apply the word to anything that comes your way. See, now you understand the real purpose for applying pressure. Look at what Paul says, and this is in Philippians chapter 3. He says very clearly, do I have permission to read this on your program? Because you talk about hair, and you're real good about the hair too. By the way,
I love the highlights. I do a little hair.
You do a little hair. Oh, well, do your little spiel? Do your little thing?
I do a little hair. My name is Wanda, and I curl a little hair. But
that's the thing. That's your brand. I love it.
Yeah, but we welcome the word here. I tell them every week, all you're gonna get out of me is the word. So
you said I can apply pressure?
Apply pressure.
Can I apply pressure to us right now that are listening?
Yeah.
Because we don't oftentimes, we like to read it, right? And then we like to put it on the shelf, but we don't like to apply it to ourselves.
Come on.
Watch how Paul does this. And this is what encourages me so much. Look at what he says. Philippians chapter 3, verse number 1. I'm going to read it from the King James version because I think it adds the character needed for the item. So y'all pay attention. Get your Bibles, go to Philippians chapter 3, verse 1. I'm going to read a little bit, but you want to see the storyline develop and unwrap for you. Finally, Paul says, my brethren, that's those who are in the same faith I'm in, I need y'all to rejoice in Adonai. I need y'all to write the same things to you. To me, indeed, it's not a grievous thing, but me writing the same things to you is but for your sake, and it is safe. He says, beware of dogs, meaning they're going to come. Beware of evil workers, meaning they're going to come. He says, beware of people who are of the concision, right? For we are of the circumcision. which worship Elohim in spirit, and we rejoice in the image of Yeshua HaMashiach. And we've also learned to have no confidence in our flesh. So he tells you dogs are going to come, evil workers are going to come, people who don't believe like you believe are going to come. You just beware of them. He did not say avoid them. Help me, Ruach. So the word beware here, this is where we don't like to apply pressure. Paul is telling you, get ready, beware of them, be ready to give an answer when the time comes. What does it mean to beware? Beware is the Greek word G991. It is the word blepo, right? And that word blepo means, it means to look at, literally or figuratively, pay attention to, beware, lie in wait to see it, look on it, perceive it, regard it, take heed to it, compare it. So that means you gotta embrace the dogs. Ouch! You gotta embrace the evil people. You got evil workers. You gotta be ready to embrace the concision, even though you were of the circumcision. So that means you got to be able to deal with that. So you got to learn that when things come, don't run away from it, embrace it, because watch this. You can do all things through Messiah who strengthens you. Any one of those dogs barking at you, I got dominion over that dog. I literally will break a dog's neck. I got dominion over anything that works evil when I know I'm working good with the Father. I'm not going to be panicked by your evil working. I got to remember, I can't let you get me out of my character. So you got to beware of dogs, verse 2. You got to beware of evil workers. They're going to come. Y'all stop thinking. Remember in Isaiah, the Bible said it this way. I'm still reading Philippians 3:1-14, but I want you to catch this. I'm going to snap by Ruach's instruction back to Isaiah. And in Isaiah, he tells you, listen, I create the smith that blows the coals, that create the fire, that builds the weapons of your warfare and destruction against you. I even created the smith who blows the coals. I created the coals, I created the iron, I created the fire that's going to forge them, and they're going to listen, they're going to make a weapon against you. But you need to know they're going to come for you, but I'm not the one sending them. So when you are applying pressure as a believer and one of faith, like Paul says, my brother, and pay attention, understand they're going to come for me. But when they come at me, I'm going to apply the word of Elohim, and it becomes pressure to them. Does that make sense? So he says, surely they're going to come against you, but let me give you a secret, not by me. So therefore, the weapons that are formed against you, don't panic when you see them. They can't prosper against you. That's if you're in my word. So when we learn that, we apply his word, we are applying pressure that, watch this, layers us and protects us from any type of external opportunity to impale us. The weapons of our warfare, they're not carnal, but the weapons of the world are. And I've got to make sure I keep myself under the pressure of his word, and yet apply it to my life so I can wear that armor. That's why. Did y'all know that even in Paul's analogy in the book of Ephesians, chapter number 4, when he goes on to indict and make this statement, he says, listen, having done all, stand, having on you the breastplate of righteousness, having on you rather your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, having in fact your loins girt about with truth, having the breastplate of righteousness. Listen, watch this revelation. Having on your shield of faith, having on your helmet of salvation, and having on the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim. So tell me, Minister Wanda, if I put that helmet on, am I applying pressure to my head?
You are. Yeah.
If I wrap that loincloth around me, am I adding pressure to my loins?
You are.
If I put those shods on my feet, am I applying pressure to my actual calves? If I put on that breastplate, am I putting pressure around my chest? But is that pressure designed to hurt me? No. If I put that sword of spirit in my hand, is it applying pressure to my hand's ability and muscles to hold that thing. When I put on the shield of faith, is it applying pressure to my shoulder, my forearm, and so that I can hold it up? Is its weight applying pressure to me? It's not to hurt me. It's to protect me. Oh, apply pressure. Pressure. You got to apply. I'm sorry, y'all. I get excited when this hits me. You got to practice. And then Paul says, listen, having done all with the pressure of the word on you. Somebody say, I'm apply pressure of the word. I'm apply pressure of the word. I'm going to apply pressure of the word. When you personally make it your business to apply the word of Elohim and embrace the pressure it puts on you, that pressure don't bust your pipes. That pressure protects your life. That's why he says, put on the whole armor of Elohim that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. Having done all, stand. Somebody just write pressure, 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 pressure. You got to apply the pressure. So if you don't dress up in the word, you're not telling Elohim, layer me. Oh, you don't understand what it's like to be layered. Maybe I can make a better analogy, and it seems like I'm going to be off course, but I promise you it's going to be so relative, it makes absolutely beautiful sense. Did you know that you wearing in the middle of winter just a bulky fur is not the safest and most efficient way to keep yourself warm? Did you know you could literally be warmer than a person with a bulky bare fur on? I ain't telling you, don't get one. That God bless you to be able to afford one. Hallelujah. And you happen to have a dead bear around, go ahead and do what you got to do. You hear me? But you know, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is you can be literally more warm and comfortable and flexible, right? When you layer clothing. Oh, y'all not going to talk to me. But when you layer clothing, guess what? You put it on and all of a sudden, like, oh, it's too tight. That's pressure. But you applied pressure so that when that pressure is applied and you put that next garment on over top the last garment and the next garment on top of that last garment, the wind can't get through. Help me, Ruach, deliver this to your people so we can apply pressure proper. I hope that you guys understand what I'm saying. Y'all forgive me. The apostle man be tripping sometimes. I know y'all think I do, but listen closely. When you've actually given yourself the ability to apply his word, you apply pressure to make sure that pressure coming from an external source to hurt you or impale you, you'll be able to withstand all the fiery darts of the enemy. Having done all with carrying that weight of the armor of God, just stand there. Now, what's happening when you stand there, you're applying pressure to the ground. Be unmovable. Always abounding in the work of the Father. Oh, I can't get enough. You ain't got enough people saying pressure out here. I'm looking at the comments. That's that right. Okay, Carmen said that right there. Okay, I don't see nobody writing pressure. Okay, I see pressure. Brother Ben, I see you. So listen, Zion, I need y'all to understand that. She do a little bit. She curl a little bit of hair. I teach a little bit of the word. I break a few things down. But when you understand that when you layer the word of Elohim in your life, you are in the layering process. Yeah, all right. Y'all act like y'all don't get this. Okay, let me try it one more again. How much time I got, Minister Wanda? Okay, I'm about done. All right, so look at this right here. You ever put on your first t-shirt, then put another shirt on top of it? Don't you got to adjust the shirt closest to your skin to make the shirt you just put on line up and match? And you got to get the wrinkles out. It's uncomfortable. Your armpits is all stuck up. Your legs be all crouched up. You got the wedgies everywhere. Y'all act like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. So each time you put on the next layer of faith, help me, Ruach, you got to adjust the 2 layers you already got on and got sort of kind of comfortable with. Y'all not going to talk to me today, but we go close this out. So every time you put on a new layer of faith, remember them levels, new devils, that's new layers, baby. You got to always adjust your garments. And guess what? Every time you put on a new garment, you have a different realm of defense against the pressure that is contrary to you. Ruach, you got to help me calm down because I really want to run all around my studio right now, but I can't do that because I don't want to break nothing. And I'm not in, I missed the Friday sales, from at the thing.
Wait. Wait, I'm about to scream because I got on layers right now, right? Listen, I got on layers right now. I
You
got
layered
a
up.
hoodie on. I got a t-shirt on. I got a hoodie on. I
I
got
see the city.
a jacket
I
on.
see the
And when
denim
I'm
jacket.
ready to go back to the shop, I'm gonna put a coat on. You don't understand. So the more layers we have, the more defense
Mm.
we have against what you were talking about, those
Element.
dogs, the
The
evil.
evil workers, the
Uh-huh,
concision, because
uh-huh,
you are circumcision. Go ahead, talk.
uh-huh,
I'm sorry. It's
uh-huh.
your program. It's
So
your
the
program.
more layers I have in the word, the more defense I have built
Of
up
the world,
to fight against those fiery darts that come
of the
against
enemy.
us. Yeah. So the layers of the word are necessary, and without the word, you will fail when pressure comes.
Simon, Satan desires. Do you know that word desires mean he has a fetish? He has an inclination. He is going after you. He is not going to stop till he gets you. Satan desires to have you, not to benefit you, but that he might break you down. Pause. Let me give it to you right. He said he desires to have you that he might sift you like wheat. Let's talk about the process of sifting. I had the benefit of growing up in New Jersey, the Garden State.
Come
You
on,
understand?
come on.
So we know about taking grain and having to put it in a crucible. I can't get siftable grain until I break it down in the crucible. I got to put it in something hard. You be up against a rock and a hard place, and you in between the two of them. And when the pressure of the world is applied, if you don't have the pressure of the word in your life, you won't make it through that experience. That's why he said, Simon, listen, the enemy wants to crush you in the crucible of life and make sure you don't make it out. Watch this, because you'd be whole as a kernel going in. But if he can break you down and grind you by his pressure and you're not anti-pressured, if that can happen, then by the time he makes you powder, do you know what happens with powder when you blow on it? Powder never is able to bring all of itself back down together. So the kernel that you once were could never be whole again. Because if you broke that kernel down and you got it to sifting status and a breeze came by, there are going to be particles of you that went to the wind and you'll never find them again. Though you got good 70% of what's in the bowl still there, you'll never get that 30, 20, 10, 15% back again. You'll never be made whole. That's the whole purpose why the word makes you whole again. I can't talk to nobody like I really. We only talking about hair over here. My bad.
Listen. Even when you talk about sifting, the first thing I think about is a good baker. If we have a good baker, and even though they might use cake flour, my mom still would say that's not good enough.
Mhm.
It got to be broken down some more. So
Mhm.
she would sift it some more. I would say sometimes, Apostle, that some sifting might be necessary.
And sifting is absolutely necessary because there's still shell and hull of what you've been breaking up inside of there. There are still elements that don't need to make it into this mixture. So when the enemy says he desires to have you, that he might sift you like wheat, he means to keep stuff of you separated from you forever. And
Uh,
this way you'll never be you again. And he got you completely dependent on him to make your existence and your wealth or your status vetted by him. And that's what the people of Elohim seem to keep missing. That's why he says, Simon, he desires to do this, that he might sift you like wheat. But, but listen, I have talked to the Father about you, that the words I'm going to leave you, you don't let them drop on the ground.
it said,
That
yes.
you are able to, what he say? He says, he desires to have you that he might sift you at wheat, but I've prayed for you that your faith, your remembrance of his word, your remembrance of the layers of faith you got to put on, don't fail you. I wish I had somebody that
Come
understood.
on, listen.
Can I?
I would much rather I would much rather be sifted by the word of Elohim than for Satan to be trying to sift me. I'd rather let that word sift everything out of me. I need the word to apply the pressure of sifting to get everything out of me that's not like him, because his sifting is for my good. His pressure of sifting is going to make me look more like him. Oh, this is good.
In every way. So when you realize that when you got to put on those layers, sometimes it'll make you uncomfortable. Sometimes it'll make you hot and sweaty. But whenever you're in the heat of a real battle, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be hot and sweaty. You're going to be pierced, or you're going to be hit by something that can actually give you a decent impact and maybe even apply a wound, but you won't be impaled. See, that's the thing. You'll be able to withstand. Now, the word withstand there indicts. It doesn't mean you're not going to get hit. Oh, y'all don't like that part. It's not that you're going to get hit. The enemy is accurate as all get out. That's why Yahweh needs you to be dressed in his armor. I need y'all to apply the pressure of the word. I need y'all to apply the armor. That's the pressure. Do you understand? So we have to apply it. Now let's get back to Paul's writing in Philippians chapter number 3. Are y'all all right with that so far? Look at this. Can I finish this? Because I need to make sure we get it. Verse 2 says in Philippians 3:2, beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision, for we are of the circumcision. We worship Elohim in spirit, and we rejoice. We are re-strengthened in watching Yeshua, having lived out with the pressures applied to him by the pressures he applied himself, how he, in fact, now has no confidence in his flesh. So we should have no confidence in our flesh, though I might also have confidence in my flesh because I've done a lot of things. But if a man thinks that he had whereof that he might trust in the flesh, to be quite frank, I'm probably going to be one who can say, I have more to say. I'm confident about my flesh. So when I say this to you, I want you to understand I had to bring myself to a state of humility too. So verse 5 says, I was circumcised on the 8th day. I'm the stock of Israel. I'm of the tribe of Benjamin. I'm an Hebrew of Hebrews. As it relates to touching the law, I was trained like a Pharisee. So I have reason to trust in my flesh. And concerning zeal, I was persecuting the church. Touching righteousness, which is in the law, bro, I'm blameless. But what things I had found to be gain to me, those things I presently count lost because I've come to understand Messiah. Yeah, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yeshua HaMashiach, who is my Messiah, for whom I suffered the loss of all things, and do now count them but as dung, in order that I may win Messiah, and that I may be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is of man's laws, but that which is through the faith, the Torah, that Messiah demonstrated by way of righteousness, which is the faith of Elohim. Verse 10 says, that I may know him. Listen, and the power of his resurrection. Baby, if you don't apply the pressure of the word to your life, the pressure of the world will cripple your life. But if you apply the pressure of the word to your life, then you will see the power of resurrection. Do you realize the fact that he was resurrection means the world beat him down? But like Messiah said, Simon, he desires to have you that he might sift you, but your faith won't let you fail. You're going to be resurrected. You're going to get hit. You're going to break a bone. You're going to have a laceration, but faith in you, because you layered yourself with a little bit of pressure practice previously, you're going to be resurrected. Do y'all understand that? Verse 10, watch. That I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. The word sufferings indicts that something hurt. Do you think it didn't hurt Messiah to hang on that cross? the suffocation that he experienced, the bruising that he encountered, the nails that went through his hands, his flesh, the thorns that went through his scalp, the emotional stress and drama of having to do something for a group of people he may in his flesh have thought not worthy. But Yahweh said, I got to do it. And I don't want to die for none of these jokers. That's emotional drama. But he gave himself over. He said, nevertheless, let thy will, not my will, be done. And so when we look at this, verse 10 says that I may know him in the power of his resurrection and in the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable to his death, if by any means I may attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Not as though I've already attained, either was already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend for that which also I am apprehended of in Messiah's demonstration of life. Verse 13, brethren, I don't count myself to have apprehended yet, but this one thing I do know, man, look, I'm forgetting those things which are behind. And I'm now, because of the example of Messiah, I'm reaching forth unto those things which are in fact before me. I press toward the mark of the prize of the higher calling. I press, y'all didn't hear that. I press, y'all didn't hear that. I press toward, y'all didn't hear that. I got to keep the word. Y'all don't want to talk to me. I press, I put the word on me through every situation I'm going through. Sometimes I got to squeeze through. I got to get skinny to get into the mix and the thorough. I got to come through it. Sometimes I got to slip through caverns. I got to slip through ravines. I got to slip through cracks in the wall just to get to the other side. And the only way I can slip through and get skinny enough is to put on that tightness of the word to slim out all the fat in me so I can get by and get through this without getting hit, hurt, or any further damage to my body. So he says, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling, which is in the demonstration that Yeshua HaMashiach gave us of life in this flesh by the word of Elohim. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if in anything you be otherwise minded, I pray Yahweh reveal this thing to you. So I, like Paul, pray Yahweh reveal this thing to you this day. Pressure. You got to start learning how to, in fact, apply the pressure that comes with using and incorporating his word. I think I've talked too much in your program. I know y'all talk about hair over here, but I promise you, even in doing hair, don't you got to apply pressure when you curl it?
Absolutely.
You got to do it. It's got to be done. You got to apply pressure when you curl it. It's got to be done. You have to do it. I pray that Yahweh reveal this. Minister One, I'm sorry. I hope I've been I hope I've been able to add value to your program and your series, which apparently you are concluding. And I hear you had Dr. Ennis on here, Insir on here. Mathis, listen. Y'all look, got me over here tearing up my desk.
Tearing up stuff.
Listen, pressure. So I'm done. Wherever you need me to be, I'm going to be. So this is your program. I'm going to stop talking because I got so much more I could say, but you know, I'll be talking all day. I was already late getting here. So I don't know.
You good. You got like 8 more minutes. Help yourself because you concluding this. Listen, you're concluding this. You're showing us. You've already showed us and touched a lot of things that we talked about. But the fact that I love about this is that Messiah went through pressure, but he also applied pressure.
Oh, absolutely. The fact, the beauty of it was him going through the pressure of the world, put pressure on the world to release what Elohim had in him.
That's so good.
Okay. You want to talk about that olive oil?
Yeah.
So imagine now Yeshua as the olive, but until the world applied the pressure, the juice could not come out. Ain't that something? The oil the oil came out. When they put him in the crucible, we're gonna call it the sepulcher, and they shut the door. That's pressure.
Ah,
And they beat him all night long. The blood
ah,
came. Y'all don't hear me.
come on.
When they punched him in his face, they applied pressure. But that pressure is necessary. So what Yeshua told Simon was, Satan is going to come for you to beat you like you're going to see me get beat. But I'm praying for you like I have already applied the pressure to my own life, meaning the word and doing it, do everything, that your faith, like my faith, won't fail. And guess what? That's what it is. So look at what Paul says in verse 16. Remember this now. Verse 14 says, I pressed, Philippians 3:14, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling in Elohim, which is found in the demonstration of Yeshua, who is our Mashiach. Verse 15 says, so let us, therefore, as many of us that proclaim to be perfect, be thus minded. And if anything, you be otherwise minded, I pray Yahweh reveal even this unto you. Verse 16, nevertheless, whereto we have already attained. Nevertheless, whatever we have already attained. Nevertheless, listen, whatever we have already attained. Now we think we big and we think that we holding it. We think we got it. We think we understand it. No matter what you attain, let us walk by the same rule that got us that first attaining in the second attaining, which means you had to do it by faith. He says, nevertheless, whereunto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same things. Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them that walk as such, and walk them which walk so as you have us for an ensample. For many walk, of whom I have told you often about, and now tell you, even as I'm crying to tell you this, that they are actually the enemies of the cross of Messiah, who, by the way, their end will be destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is their shame, who mind earthly things. For our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior and the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who will in fact change our vile bodies, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, because he applied pressure, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. I think I took way past my time.
No, sir. This is amazing, giving us so much to think about. And now when we see the word or hear the word pressure or apply pressure, we're not going to let it make us fearful or something that we run away from or look at it negatively. We understand now that pressure is necessary, and even the bad or the negative pressure is necessary when you know how to apply the word. When you apply the word, that allows you to apply pressure. So this week, when we are going to be faced with pressure every day, yes, we're going to be faced with pressure. So now we are challenged. How are we going to handle that? Will we handle that with the pressure of righteousness, or will we handle it?
So watch this. That was good. Let me throw this out there for many of you to get this, because I think we get close like, well, how are you going to say pressure the world and then pressure with the word, pressure God and pressure the enemy? You be pressure bust pipe and pressure make you wealthy. What are you talking about? Well, watch this. If you in fact apply the pressure that the word applies to your body, it compacts you. The harder you are, the more difficult it is for that thing coming at you externally to penetrate you. It may impact you. It may leave an indelible mark, but it won't penetrate. You'll live through it. You might crack a bone, crack a rib, but because the tightness of the word you apply compacts you, when something tries to impact you, it'll be less penetrable. It will be literally there'll be a resilience, and there'll be a what do we call that word? What's it called when it will repel off of you.
Yes.
Right. So when you apply pressure of the word to your life, it'll compact you so that when the world applies external pressure, which is contrary to faith, against you, you're already compacted, waiting for impact, and you'll survive it. I prayed that your faith fail not, even though Satan desires to have you so he can break you down to the point that you are able to be blown away because you're sifted like wheat.
Apostle Jones, thank you so much for bringing such a wonderful conclusion to my series, Apply Pressure. I know that today you have said something that can last us a lifetime because it's beneficial to our walk in the kingdom. If we apply the pressure, what we just got today, if we apply the instructions that we got today that came straight from his word. And I'm so grateful for you. I know you are busy, and I thank you for taking time out to come and close this out for me. I have done my best in this series. I've had some wonderful people, like you said, Dr. Mathis, Prophetess Leslie came and joined us.
Yes, at Leslie's Lessons Learned, yes.
She came last week to join me to talk about how important the pressure of authenticity is.
Authenticity, yeah.
Yeah, and we have given you something to put in your arsenal that you can use for a lifetime. So listen, don't keep this to yourself. This is applicable to everybody. We want you to share this. And we thank you for joining us here on Let's Talk About It with Wanda. We meet here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we just talk about it. We might discuss health, relationships. We do always, whatever we talk about, it is going to be backed up by his word, because the word is what you need to get you through life. And what we've learned today is we might be facing some pressure, but we need to be layered in the word. And when we are layered in the word, that is what's going to help you repel what you're hit with. And your greatest example that we've gotten is the Messiah. He dealt with all the pressure that was applied to him from every which way, from those who should have loved him, from those that should have been looking for him, from those that inside and outside, they applied pressure. But what I love about him is that even when Satan came, he applied the pressure of the word. So I encourage you, when things come, and they will, apply pressure of the word. We want to thank you for being here. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Sunday at 4 p.m. Take care.